All right, hello. We want to welcome you to this session of Acing the Scholarship Application with the University of Northern Iowa. We're really excited to have you here, either watching live or joining us and watching the recording so that you too can find out some more information about how to fill out the scholarship application, opportunities we have here at UNI, and tips that you might need to use as you're thinking about being a student at UNI. And I'm so excited because we have like an all-star panel here today. So you're really lucky because we got some of the best and the brightest people here to talk to you today. So I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves. But first, before that I do that, I want to make sure you understand that this is really focusing on undergraduate scholarships for UNI. So if you are an undergraduate student, please go ahead and tune in. If you're a graduate student, you're welcome to stay and listen to what we have to say. But I would think that maybe there'd be some other resources that might be better for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I'm going to have our panel introduce themselves. So let me go ahead and do this. And then I will have Tim. All right, Tim, go ahead, jump in and tell us who you are and what you're covering today.
Sure. Thanks, Christy. My name's Tim Bakula. I'm the Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships here at UNI. I will be talking about some tips in terms of applying for scholarships, just an overview in general. And then we'll also kind of jump into the UNI scholarship application, and I'll kind of show you firsthand how you'd be able to walk through the steps to complete the UNI scholarship application. So we'll get into all of that in just a moment.
Great. Jessica, please tell us who you are.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Jessica Moon, and I am Director of Honors and Scholars Programs here at the University of Northern Iowa. And today I get to tell you a little bit about our honors program, what it means for a student to be an honors student at UNI, what we have available in terms of opportunities. And I'll also be talking a little bit about our Presidential Scholarship, which is a scholarship that we administer for 20 incoming students each year.
Awesome. And Sherry.
Hi everyone, my name is Sherry. I'm a sophomore majoring in computer science, and I'm going to be giving advice on how to fill out the UNI scholarship application, and I'm going to be talking about the student life here at UNI.
All right, great. So as I told you, this is an amazing group we have today. My name is Christy, and I'm the Director of International Recruitment and Admissions. I am the person who works with all of your applications, along with my staff member who's here, Liz. Liz, you want to just say hello and introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Atkuna. I'm the International Admissions Counselor at University of Northern Iowa.
So before we get started, just a few reminders. There are places for you to ask questions. There's an area for you to, in the chat, you can ask a question in the chat, or you can ask a question. There's a Q&A box. So if you want to ask a question, please do so. We'll be monitoring the questions, and we'll either answer it on the chat or we'll be able to answer it during our presentation today. Just be patient and stick with us. I think you're going to find out some really, really good information here today. So please stick with us. I'm going to turn it over to Tim, who's, as he introduced himself, as the Director of Financial Aid here at UNI. So Tim, you want to start us off today?
Sure. Thanks, Christy. Christy, do you want to go to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me do that.
I've got our scholarship app up. So then when you are done sharing your screen, you can stop sharing and I'll share mine then.
Okay. So you want me to go on this one. All right.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Thank you. So welcome again, everyone. I'm glad to have you here and happy to take a few minutes of your time today to talk a little bit about how to pay for college at UNI. Obviously, college is expensive. We'll get into some of those costs coming up here. But one of the best ways to kind of reduce your costs at any university would be to apply for scholarships that you're eligible for. I will jump into our UNI scholarship application in a few moments here. But one of the first things I want to make you aware of is just the fact that the scholarship application at UNI is open currently. Maybe some of you have already seen it. And the deadline's only a few short weeks away. So in order to apply, you'd want to kind of submit your application by February 1st. We'll show you that in just a moment here. You'll see areas where you can start and stop and kind of save what you're doing and then return and complete information. There will be information in that scholarship application that asks you about your activities, types of things you've done during your high school career, as well as academic interest areas, in addition to potentially writing an essay or two about various personal topics related to your academic journey. So we'll show you those questions in a moment. A few kind of things as you're going through the scholarship application that you want to make sure you're taking care of is just making sure that all of your documents are submitted to UNI admissions. In order to be fully considered for all scholarships at UNI, you will need to be admitted to the university. So making sure that you've got materials in not only now to apply for admission, but then eventually as you continue on your academic journey here. Christy and others may be able to get into some of that a little bit later in the presentation regarding documentation needed. I mentioned that word that sometimes causes a little bit of stress or anxiety for students, that being essays and writing. However, that is one way that you have an ability to express kind of your academic position and your interest in the university, as well as your interest areas in the majors and programs that we have. So we have 2 essay questions, basically. There are a few short answer questions in different academic areas as well. But the key here is to just be thoughtful, to tell your story. I'm sure many of you have fascinating stories that are bringing you to the United States, to the University of Northern Iowa, and we'd love to hear about them. So taking your story and tying it into the academic journey that you're wanting to continue here at UNI will probably make for the best essay that you can do. AI or artificial intelligence alone will not really be able to tell the story as well as you can. So it's a very popular tool. AI is definitely something that we know students utilize in writing scholarships, and many of the scholarship committees understand that as well. So they would have the ability to kind of weed out individuals that have maybe taken from different AI resources as their own. Writing an authentic essay, I think here is really important, and we encourage you to do that. But our questions do kind of frame it, so it's almost like you have to be very personalized in your approach. So that should be fairly easy once you get to that point. Another key to the essay, though, is your achievements. What have you done in your high school career? What have you been involved with? What organizations, clubs, volunteerism have you taken part in your home country? Don't downplay your achievements. That's very common amongst many students to kind of play off the fact that I've done this or I've been involved in that. I would always err on the side of providing too much detail or too much information about what you've been involved with, as opposed to taking something away. So there is a section on here that allows you to easily enter your academic achievements as well as extracurricular activities that you've been involved in both in and outside of your high school. Making the scholarship application your job is just a really easy way to put it out there to kind of focus on this over the next 3 weeks. Some of you may work, obviously, and you get paid maybe an hourly wage or a per project wage. This would be your project for the next 3 weeks. We'll oftentimes encourage students to apply and to put the time in, and sometimes it's very difficult to find a way to motivate yourself to find the time to do this. But by thinking about it as a job really kind of provides a better context to it. One example I would give is if you apply and let's say you only receive a $500 scholarship, which is still a very healthy sum of money. Obviously not enough to pay your entire bill, but that $500, maybe it took you, we'll even say 10 hours to do this application or to do any applications that you may have available. You would have paid yourself $50 US per hour. That's a very, very good wage. Sometimes if you multiply that out, you get $1,000 or $2,000 in a scholarship that you've applied for. You've paid yourself that much more. Probably much, much more than you're working in any type of job that you and sometimes even your parents have right now in terms of the scholarships that can be earned here. And this is just kind of a lead into when we get to the costs. We will encourage you, or you'll need to have other plans to pay for college as well. Very few students, international or domestic students, have all of their college paid for with a scholarship. At UNI, we've taken an approach where we will essentially spread the wealth, if you will, to many, many different students. It can happen that some of our best and brightest students have essentially everything covered with a scholarship, but that is extremely rare coming from someone who works in the financial aid office. We don't see that a lot. So you will want to have other plans to pay for college as well. Our office can assist in that. Christy in admissions can assist with kind of strategies or ways to come up with other plans to pay as well. So you don't need to worry about that as you're applying for scholarships. We're just putting that out there as essentially a way to give you a heads up to the fact that let's continue to look for what other opportunities you or your family have to pay for school. So with that, Christy, if you wouldn't mind stopping your share, I will begin my share on this side then, hopefully. It might have logged me out now. Great. We'll just start from the beginning.
While you're
There we go.
doing that,
got
I can use this time to tell everyone about the beautiful snowstorm that we received last night. So for those of you that are not here in Iowa, we have a lot of snow. It's actually quite beautiful, but they closed the university for the day. So we are all here with you from our basements or our kitchens or wherever we are in our house and home or our dorm room. And so today the university is closed because there's a lot of snow outside and we're all staying warm inside. So with that, Tim, it looks like you got where we needed to go.
Great filler. Thank you, Christy. I can't wait to go out and move that snow, right?
That's right. That
playing
part
it.
is not as fun, but maybe
No.
you can build a snowman while you're at it, or
Yeah,
throw
right.
snowballs at people. So
Exactly. Well, thank you. So what I've done here through the magic of technology is I've gotten to the UNI scholarship application. We're going to kind of walk through it as you would see it as a student. The one step that you didn't see that I already logged in was you will need your CAT ID username and password to kind of get to this point to log in to the application itself. So we'll kind of jump beyond that and just walk in through the application as we go. So you can see very big and bold, we've got a priority deadline of February 1st, 2024. Some of the tips and important information that I conveyed already, but that I think I'll highlight some of the finer points here, are mentioned on just this start page. So you need to submit the application, and this is done on an annual basis. Usually, scholarship application season opens from July 1st all the way for this year through February 1st. So in reality, students would have had months and months. What we see in our office as we watch these float in, about 90% of these scholarships come in within the last 2 to 3 weeks of the application process. So you're right there with everyone else right now if you're looking at doing your application. So don't delay any further, but just wanted to give you some perspective there. You'll apply by completing this application, and then what happens is it's essentially farmed out to various colleges and departments on campus that will consider you for any number of different scholarships that you may apply for. So the kind of key thing about UNI's scholarship application is you're kind of answering about yourself. There's a series of questions that will get at who you are, what you have done, what academic areas you're interested in. And then those areas will look through all of their applicants to see which of those applicants fit their criteria the best. So you're not looking for various scholarships once you're in here. This is the application that will literally have international students considered for over 300 different scholarships. So some of the information there on the important pieces about the FAFSA does not pertain to international students, unfortunately. That's more for US citizens that are doing a free application for federal student aid. So you can disregard that and continue on. You would be considered for scholarships that you're eligible for, regardless of having that FAFSA done or not. So as we continue, I'm going to kind of scroll back up here so you can kind of see. We've got kind of a key that will take us throughout the application. So we'll kind of monitor our progress as we go. But our first area here is activities. I don't have any activities that I've entered yet, but it's very simple if I can get some things out of the way here in terms of submitting activities. So if I want to put a new activity in, let's say I was involved in the robotics team. I can go here and say from January of, takes us way back, January of 2020, all the way through now, we'll just say present even, So notice if you're still doing something, you can say I'm currently doing it and you don't have to enter a year. I'm just going to put robotics all in caps because I'm excited about it. And then you might want to list a little bit of if you had a position of leadership in that area, or if you were a team member or received an honor in it, you can mention that and then submit. Okay. I'll just put leader. Once again, very excited, and submit. And that's there. I'd
Tim,
probably want to make, yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you, can you tell everyone how far back do you think students should go in adding activities? Should they put junior high, elementary? And is there a certain number of activities that you think is ideal or that they need to have in order to get a scholarship?
This is part of telling your story. So like we said before, don't downplay any achievements. But Christy, to your question, it's a really good one about how far back to go. I would probably say your high school career should probably be a good cut point. If you've been involved in something all the way from middle school through high school, maybe listing that. But realistically, maybe your freshman, sophomore, junior, and now senior year, you could start listing those things. I'm sure some students go even further back, but it just becomes less and less relevant the further back that you go, obviously. So that would be kind of my suggestion there. And then in terms of how many, this doesn't limit you. I would try to make them relevant to maybe your academic interest areas and that type of thing. But if you've had employment experiences, you could list those. It does give some options there for church or religion, jobs, sports, memberships, completed internships. So I don't know if I have any one that completely turns me off because they've listed too many, but spend a little bit of time here, but not too much to overdo it either. Does that help, Christy?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, cool. And then any references, people that you may know as a UNI employee, there are probably very few that would have that as a reference there, so you can continue on without that. Now to our questions. This is kind of the bulk of what you're doing in the application from here forward. So you will see a list of general questions. And as noted, this is kind of asking about different activities and involvement. And the reason they're asking, well, some very broad questions and some are very specific, like participated in an URMID debate league in high school. Well, not a lot of high schools even here in the local area have that urban debate league. But the reason that question is on there is because the donor of that scholarship had that as a priority or something they wanted to ensure that their recipients had. So you will simply go through and read these questions and answer them honestly, as honest as you can. So am I currently employed part-time is the first question. If you are, just check the box. It's not going to ask you where. It's not going to ask you how long. It's just, are you currently employed? Are you employed full-time? I'm not going to read all of the questions, but in looking at those, if you meet the criteria for any of them, feel free to check them off as you go. So maybe I volunteered with children, and it could have been 4 years ago, or maybe when I was in middle school. I've done it. It's asking in a past tense at that point in time. So checking these off, and we're just going to kind of continue on, gets into more futuristic. What are your plans to not only attend the university, but also potentially post-graduation? So after college, what might you be looking at doing? And maybe I'm interested in going to graduate school or law school. And I want people to know that. So there are donors that have set criteria up for students that are looking to help undergraduate students that are in the future planning to go to, graduate school, law school, have an internship, those types of things. And then your background. So am I from any of these areas? So you can kind of see, am I from a small town? Do I have an ag background? That doesn't necessarily mean those two need to be in the United States. It says nothing about that. You could check those if they apply to you. Now, some of the other ones, born and raised in Iowa, U.S. citizen, may not apply, obviously. Answer those that do. And then other, this is a good catch-all for all of the various other scholarship criteria that donors may have established. Am I bilingual? Do I live at home with parents and commute to campus? Do I have at least one parent that graduated from college or not? You know, so you can kind of see this tab 3, general questions. Pretty simple, but give it some thought and answer it as openly and honestly as possible. This is one where this is kind of a short answer essay. If yes, briefly explain. It does not give a word count or a minimum requirement there. I think you'd want to kind of just be cognizant of the fact that this question also mirrors another question. You won't know that yet, but there's a question that's very similar at the end. You could potentially use that information in both, maybe changing things slightly there, but it's, have I experienced any personal hardship or other life struggles? Tell us about that. And I didn't mention on the essays, when we're talking about writing a thoughtful essay and making it your own personal experience, having someone review the essays before you just type it out in 5 or 10 minutes. That's critically important, just to show that grammar and punctuation and things like that are as good as they can be for yourself. So we'll go ahead and take that information as you submit it there, and those scholarship committees would look at that. And then the questions kind of just continue. Realistically, other than this question here, where you might write something out, a lot of these you'd be able to answer in probably 10 to 15 minutes by just looking through what applies to me. So this page shouldn't take too long for students, even though there's a lot of little boxes to kind of review for yourself. So I'm going to continue on. And now the questions kind of get geared not from your perspective, but from the areas of interest that you have. So these are questions that are about the academic areas on campus. And I will point this out because many students fall into this category, especially as entering students. Exploratory students, or students that are undecided in their major perhaps, are encouraged to complete the areas that you're most interested in. So if I think I'm wavering between education and biology, I might just do both of those. And then if I happen to receive a scholarship in one of those areas, it might help me make a determination on what area might be a good fit to at least start in. So it leads off with the College of Business. The Wilson College of Business has a few questions here, but then it quickly, just as you continue to scroll, College of Education comes up next with a series of questions. And I will say some of these terms will be foreign to you and foreign to a lot of domestic students as well. These are hopefully terms that we can explain to you in a Q&A, but if you have a quick question about, well, what is instructional strategist or special education, or what is this praxis? You can either contact our office for assistance in answering that. International admissions would also have a pretty good lead on what some of those things are defined as. Obviously, Google can also be your friend here in this case too. So that would be some of what I would probably recommend. If you get to a point where it's like, I'm not sure, just check with us. Our information is at both the front and the end of this application as you go there. So we talked about business, education. Continuing on, education has a few little questions about community service activities and other things. Humanities and fine arts and sciences, I should say. So this is a rather large college as it encompasses not only the arts and humanities side of things, but also the sciences, the hard sciences like biology, chemistry, physics, etc. So those would have a series of questions as well that can kind of go in a variety of different directions depending on your interest areas. But once again, just like the prior screen, answer those that you're that have applied to you. I'm just going to continue scrolling here. And then we have social and behavioral sciences as well, very similar. If you're only thinking about one area, answer about that one area and continue on. So we'll just act as though I'll at least check a couple boxes here so it thinks I'm interested in something. And we'll continue on. There is a section at the very end that will allow you to review all of the questions that you've answered as well. So like I said, you can always save and come back to this at a later point in time. I oftentimes recommend a student not doing this all in one sitting. It would probably be best to work up usually to about this point actually, where you get to the essays, and then we have to give these essays a little bit of thought. So you can see the recommended essays to complete. Some scholarships require essays, not all of them do, but we encourage students to do at least one or both of these questions, depending on your background and what applies to you. So you can kind of see, you would read the questions there, writing a brief essay on why you've selected your area of study. So why do I want to major in whatever it is that I'm planning to do? And you may also write about your aspirations or passions or personal and professional goals. As you do that, you would save it as usually a Word document, choosing a file, and then uploading it just like an email almost. So that process should be something that you're at least somewhat familiar with. If you have any issues with uploading things, once again, let our office know and we can kind of walk you through that too. The other question there is one that sort of gets at, if you remember back a few screens, that question about overcoming personal hardships or adversity. That's a question that our office looks at for a number of different scholarships that we help our donors and the UNI Foundation fulfill. So writing a brief essay explaining how you've succeeded in the face of adversity in your life. Not every student has something that readily comes to mind, but I would talk with parents. I would talk with others that may know about you to help kind of frame, what does that mean for me? This can come in a variety of different forms. It could be, personal adversity within your personal or family life. It could be health incidents that you've overcome. It could be academic things that you've faced and overcome. The options are kind of limitless there. Whatever you define as facing adversity is what we will take and read. And so I'd encourage you to think about doing one or both of these essays as you go. Christy, did you have any questions or anything to add there on the essay parts?
Well, yeah, I actually think something that's really interesting is, we have an audience of international students who have really interesting, unique stories. So don't forget that, that's something that you have as an advantage. A lot of the students that apply for these scholarships maybe have a common story because they grew up here in Iowa. But our international students, you have unique things. Maybe your countries that you live in have gone through certain challenges and you and your family have been impacted by those. So make sure you think about that, because I think for the people reading the scholarship essays, that's very interesting to us and makes you stand out. I always tell students with essays, you want to stand out in a good way. You don't want to be that scholarship that everyone's like, oh my God, did you see this one? But you want to be that essay where, people are like, oh, that's really interesting and compelling. And I can hear the voice of that student. So I think, Tim's been saying, just take some time and some thought with this. So I think that that's really something that I would emphasize. And again, as you said, Tim, they could do one or both, but if you're really looking for the maximum amount of scholarships, you might as well try and put scholarships in both, because that would increase, is that correct? Increase their chances at least of being considered for more scholarships?
Correct. That's exactly right. So I always encourage students that while you're in here, let's just write a second essay if it applies to you, right? So taking that little bit of time, I mean, there's some thought process that goes into it, and then actually writing it up and editing it. I mean, that's where we get into, sometimes this takes a few hours to do. But hopefully, like Christy said, it will allow you to be considered for the maximum number of scholarships. I feel like I'm missing it here. It might be at the very finish, or maybe I glossed over it at the start. We do give some parameters on how you would write this essay. So if I don't catch it at the end to point it out, I'll go back and find it. These essays shouldn't be more than 2 pages long. So we're not talking about a book here. 1 to 2 pages at most would be able to tell these stories here. And I think I'll want to catch that before I end, but I just thought of that as we were talking here. So we'll continue as though we've entered the essays. And now we're to the review tab. So this is everything that you've answered either about yourself. And notice I didn't have to type in a lot of things about me, because you've got your CAT ID that you've logged in with, and it's automatically knowing who you are, what address you have on file, some of those types of things from your admissions application and so forth. So some of this stuff I'm just going to quickly go through there, and if I see anything to point out, I will. There's my activity. There's what I checked off on some of those screens that we were talking about, my plan. So I can see, if I see I need to go back to something that I missed the first time, I can just click back here and I'm right back to that screen where I can actually edit this. Let's see how this works. If I check that one now and go to review, I haven't done this live for a while. I might have to refresh. Let's just see. Hopefully I don't, oh, great. I was going to say, hopefully I don't mess the whole thing up. Hold on, let me go back. The scholarship application does not like the back or refresh button, but let's see. So I go back to review, I'm back in here. And because it's saved along the way, it at least had what I had that initial time before I tried doing that correction. I probably didn't save it on that screen as I came back to this, is the reason that it didn't take that second check mark there. So you don't lose anything, even when it looks like it kicked you off. You would just get right back in there and be able to continue on. So these are all the questions I didn't answer, and just on down through. At the end, it would show the essays. Had I actually uploaded one, it would show there. And you'd be able to see that it uploaded. So this is the Finish tab. Talks about the FAFSA, which doesn't apply to us. Certify the information is true and correct, and your name. So I would be able to submit this by just putting my name in there and clicking Submit Application. I'm going to pause on going that far with my own here today, because I want to keep using this as a template for others. I want to go back to that Start tab though, and just see if I can find, and maybe if I don't find it right away, Christy, I will let others go on and I'll try to work on it as you guys are discussing things. So that is essentially, from start to finish here again, the scholarship application. So go ahead and get started. Take some good time to get in and out of that as you go. Feel free to ask our office questions as you continue on this, and we'll be available to help you on any questions that you have about that. So I'm going to stop sharing at the moment, and we're back to Christy and everyone else, and I'll pass it back to Christy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim. That was amazing. A sneak peek at the scholarship application for those of you who have not started yet. You now know what that's going to look like. And I think, hopefully you're seeing that it's not hard. It's just going to take you some time. So if you haven't started yet, you just need to start soon so that you can thoughtfully and without rushing go through and look at all of those different ones. A lot of them are just marking off what different categories apply to you, and then writing some scholarships or short answers, which may take a little time. So just, start off, take your time. You can stop and save. You can message us with questions. We're happy to help. But this is a great opportunity for you to put in your scholarship. And again, one application that makes you eligible for all the scholarships at our university. So instead of submitting like 17 different applications, we're just asking you to submit one big one. So just, take a look at that and take the steps, and remember that date of February 1st. All right, so we're going to move forward because we do want to share some special opportunities we have at UNI. And that is that we have some programs that you might be interested in that we want to share with you. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, who's going to talk about the opportunities to shine at UNI. So Jessica, you want to jump in here?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. As Christy said, we have some really cool academic opportunities that we're able to offer through honors and scholars programs. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I think, Christy, do you have a slide about honors specifically next? Let's just talk about this one first, and then we're going to hop back. It occurs to me it might make more sense if I talk about it in this order. So the University Honors Program is a community of students. We provide academic and social opportunities to those students of high ability, high achievement, high motivation. A lot of what we offer are honors sections of courses that our students can take together. The goal is that you would take a certain number of honors courses throughout your time at UNI to earn an honors designation on your transcript. So an additional credential that kind of demonstrates who you are, what you've accomplished, what you did with your time while you were in college. Focusing a lot on Interaction with other good students. So this is a place where we've had some wonderful international students come be part of our community over the years, and they've connected then with domestic students, helped us understand more about their background and where they're coming from, and then a way for them to connect with other good students as well. So both inside and out of class, we have learning that really focuses on, sorry, I've got a little one here during this snow day with me. So we have learning that's really focused on both inside and outside of class. So the small class sizes that we offer focus on active learning methods. So that means a lot of discussion in the classroom, interaction with other good students, getting to know the faculty members a little bit more directly, but then also opportunities for individual students to do some undergraduate research or creative kind of projects that really extend their learning beyond the classroom itself. So that's a little bit about our honors program as a whole. We have around 400 total students in our program. Incoming first-year students, we're looking at admitting about 150 first-year students each academic year. So it is a small subset of our incoming class. And that's a way for us to really be able to focus on getting to know you, getting to know who you are and what your goals are, how we can help you achieve all of the things that you set out for yourself for your college education and beyond. So a little bit about honors. And I will say that this is a place where international admissions is a great partner to us, because obviously some of our entrance requirements for the honors program are a little bit more based on domestic GPA, high school GPA. And so Christy is really able to help me kind of understand students with an academic background that would make them, most interested or prepared to be part of the university honors program. So if this is something that you think would be appropriate for you, I guess I would just really encourage you to maybe give Christy a nudge and say, hey, can you help me? Can you put forward my name for consideration for the University Honors Program? Now we'll have you swap back to the presidential slide. So one of the cool things that we're able to offer through the University Honors Program is the opportunity to be recognized as one of our 20 presidential scholars. So our program does administer this particular award. We are able to give out 20 each year to incoming first-year students. The presidential scholarship travels with you throughout your time at UNI. So your only opportunity to earn this scholarship would be as an incoming first-year student. It is then renewable as long as you maintain that 3.5 cumulative GPA. One of the things that's really cool, and when you talk about opportunities to shine, the presidential scholarship provides not just financial support, but also some academic enrichment. And that comes in the way of some special seminars, which are courses that are topical, that our presidential scholars take together. And that happens in their first and second semester on campus, a special 2-credit seminar. For example, the seminar that's coming up this spring for our students is called Our Sonic Selves, and it's provided by a music faculty member who's going to be talking about how music connects us and how music impacts who we are as humans. And so those students might be from any number of majors all across campus, business majors and science majors, but they're all going to come together and learn about this kind of topic that unites them all as students and learners, as a way to extend their learning, number one, but also connect them as a community of learners together. That's one of the important things that we try to do with that cohort of scholarship recipients. After first-year seminars, we also have a second-year service project where our presidential scholars come together to work with me on a community engagement experience. So that is another way that you can really experience our local community, our campus community, and have some really applied opportunities to demonstrate who you are and what you've done with your time in college. What I will say about the presidential scholarship is that this is a place where your SAT score will qualify you for consideration for the presidential scholarship. We do look for a 1340 or above to kind of trigger a review of your scholarship application that Tim was just talking about. So you complete that scholarship application. With a qualifying SAT score, you're going to kind of fall into my sort, and I would be able to review your application for consideration for the Presidential Scholarship. All students who qualify to be considered for the Presidential Scholarship will be contacted by me through the email that is in your scholarship application. And I will be asking for a little bit of a follow-up. I call it a supplemental. And by doing that, I'm able to ask you a few very specific questions about the Presidential Scholarship community and your interest in being part of that group of 20. Similar to what Tim was sharing, this is a place where I really want to hear your voice come through. I know that ChatGPT, has its place in writing or in starting drafts or that kind of thing. But this is a time where if it is a very stale response to those questions, that's not going to necessarily impress me. I really do want to hear about your interest and have your voice shine through on that feedback. So as Tim noted, the scholarship application is due February 1st. I will have a sort of students who qualify very quickly. February 1st, most likely that list will be available to me. And so we'll be communicating with students who qualify for that additional review. And we'll be asking for a response to 3 short supplemental questions pretty quickly. You'll have about a week to submit that supplemental if you want to move on in the review process with us for presidential. I'll pause there. Christy, any questions? Did I cover? Oh, thank you. You do have a slide on the designation. So I mentioned that as a member of the University Honors Program, a goal that our students would be to take enough honors courses to earn a designation on the transcript. And so we have 2 options. We have a University Honors with Distinction, which is 30 credit hours, or University Honors, which is 18 credits. So, keeping in mind that a normal semester of credit for an on-campus student, we would typically encourage you to shoot for 15 credit hours, which is the equivalent of usually 5 classes. So this means that really throughout your whole time at UNI, 18 or 30 of your credits would be through our program, courses that we offer that you take with us. The important thing to know about that is that it is not in addition to your traditional coursework in your regular program of study. It's saying that whenever possible, you're going to be taking a course with us, and that is going to fulfill your university credit, and that credit will count toward your designation. So we're not asking you to add an additional semester or year in order to earn enough credits for your designation. We're just saying, partner with us. We will help you identify places where you can take honors courses and fit that honors coursework into your program of study so that you can earn that credential or that designation at the time of graduation.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Great information, great opportunities. Just to make sure we're clear, so the Presidential Scholarship students do need to have an SAT or ACT to qualify for.
Correct.
Okay.
Unless Christy is able to say that in absence of a qualifying score, there is an absolutely exceptional academic preparation. We do have an option to look at an application in absence of a test score, and that's the place where, again, Christy is going to be your best friend in this, because she's the one that helps to pass along what is an appropriate academic criteria that would be somewhat equivalent to the GPA requirement that we have for our domestic students.
Okay, so this, folks, is why it's so smart that you came today to this presentation, or that you're watching this presentation, because you just got a little bit of information that is not typically out there for you to consume. So this is something that's really important. So I think, what we're saying is that if you've done your SAT or ACT, great, and we will consider that. If you haven't and you feel like you're qualified for one of these programs, University Honors Program or the Presidential Scholarship, then you should probably get in touch with me and we will talk about how to move forward, okay? So again, you're seeing that these programs are for students with high achievement. So please, if you feel like you're in that category, we'll talk about maybe what of which of these, if either are appropriate for you, and then I will work with the honors program to see what we need to do. So that's something great that we've discovered, and thank you, Jessica, for sharing all this. So, all right, we're gonna kind of move forward because we have a really, really great addition to our program today. And that is that we have a student coming to share and talk about his experience, because this is really something that's going to help you as students to understand maybe what the challenges you have in front of you and the opportunities. And we have a fabulous student today, Sherry, who is here at UNI and has gotten really involved, who has done some really great things during his time here. And he's going to talk a little bit about his experience with the UNI scholarship application, maybe give some insider tips from his perspective. And then also I want him to talk a little bit about how he's made UNI affordable for him and his family. So Sherry, I'll have you jump in.
Thank you so much, Christy. So basically, when the time comes to fill out the scholarship application, you can only control one thing, which is, you can write a good scholarship essay. So we have two topics. So one of them is why you have selected your year of study. So basically, they're trying to know why you want to do what you want to do for the rest of your life. What made you choose it? So you can discuss your passion, explain why the chosen field resonates with you, share personal anecdotes, influential experiences, or just inspiring figures that motivated your decision. Um, then you can also outline your personal goals and how your chosen field aligns with them. You can demonstrate a clear path from your studies to your desired career if you want to do that. That's what I would do if I was filling out the scholarship application, which I will do. I just haven't gotten out to it. Um, so the second one is you can explain how you have succeeded in the face of adversity in your life. So for me, the first thing that I would do is define adversity. What is adversity for me? Identify challenges you faced, whether personal, academic, or professional. You should be honest and transparent about the obstacles you've encountered. Um, then you can focus on the strategies you employ to overcome adversity, showcase your ability to adapt, learn, and grow from difficult experiences. So they're just trying to find out what kind of a person you are, um, how you deal in tough situations or when you're in trouble. um, and you can also connect this for the second essay. You can connect it to your goals. You can explain how overcoming adversity has shaped your character and has influenced your academic and career aspirations. So the only thing that you can really do at this point is you can write good two scholarship essays. Um, and my focus at this point would be on writing the two essays, because your GPA is already in, your grades are already in. So only thing that you can at this point do is the essays. So my honest opinion, my honest advice would be to focus on the essays, and whether you have a good GPA or a bad GPA, just let it go and do what actually really matters right now. And the secondly, there are also very departmental scholarships that you can apply for once you come to UNI. Um, what I've seen is that for my first year, I received an external scholarship as well, which I applied externally, which was of $1,000, which was spread over 2 semesters. So once you come to UNI, you can apply for scholarships through UNI scholarship application, and at the same time, there are different departmental scholarships that you can apply once you're here. The other thing that I've done to make UNI more affordable is become an RA. So an RA is a resident advisor, which is basically just fulfilling the policies or making sure that the policies um, are being respected by the residents that live in the dorm rooms. The best thing that I received out of the RA position was that my housing and dining is free. I don't have to pay for my housing and dining, which really helps you out when you're trying to figure out how to pay for your college. The only problem with being an RA is that you won't be able to work on campus, which at the point that I think is that, by being an RA, you have a lot of time on your hands. So you can really spend that time instead of working, instead on focusing on your studies, which is basically the main goal that you want to do here. You're here for studying and not anything else. Um, so that's this what I want to say right now. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Sherry. So pointing out some of the strategies that Sherry took to writing his essays, and then also talking about his RA position and resident assistant, an opportunity for you to work hard, right? Many hours and hard in the residence halls, but also a great financial advantage, which is that you don't have to pay for housing and dining. Sherry, can you just tell us what makes a qualified RA? Like, what do you have to do to qualify to be an RA?
So you have to live on campus for 1 semester, and you have to maintain your GPA above 2.5.
Okay, so there's some qualifications. So you can't do it right away. It would have to be maybe after your first year that you'd apply. And I think they also look for students who are active and engaged. So that's something to think about too, that when you get to UNI, I mean, you look at Sherry's involvement, and he's been involved in different things. They are looking for students who are active, who are on campus, getting to know people, and know a little bit about campus, and can give good advice and support to their students in their residence halls. So that's some great advice to mention. Thank you, Sherry, and thanks for sharing with us and getting up this morning. So we're gonna kind of wrap things up a little bit, and I know there's been a few questions, so we'll try to get to those. First of all, just a reminder of cost of attendance at UNI. As all of you know, by doing research about US education, it is expensive to attend university in the US. The University of Northern Iowa, however, was named the number 17th most affordable school for international students in the US. And there's thousands of schools in the US. So we know that we're doing something right. First of all, our costs, if you compare them, are below the national average of tuition for private schools and tuition for public schools. So already to start with, we have a lower cost. Also, the cost of living in Iowa is lower. So when you come here, you may hear about these great cities in the US, and they are really amazing places to visit, but they're also expensive places to live. So when you live in other places and then go visit those cities on your holidays, you save money just because you're living in a place where the cost of living is lower. So that's something smart to think about. Also, as we've been talking about, we provide scholarship options for qualified students, so you can make these costs lower by earning some partial scholarships. And we have lots of jobs on campus. So Sherry talked about being a resident assistant, but there's lots of chances to work. As an international student, you can work up to 20 hours. And so you're not going to get rich working in a campus job, but you are going to make some money to help maybe provide some funding towards your personal expenses or your housing or that type of thing. So we are looking at ways to make UNI more affordable for you. You do need to have some other funding from your family, from a sponsor, but we are looking to make UNI a great opportunity for you, because we think we're an excellent educational institution at an affordable price, and that's a really good combination for so many students. We have students from almost 60 different countries here at UNI. So we know that students from all around the world are taking advantage of this. So just to move on, I'm just going to wrap up by showing you some of the scholarships that we offer through our admissions office. So for those of you who are international students that are freshmen, so meaning your first year, you would qualify for the International Excel Award if you fill out the UNI scholarship application. And we automatically look at you for the International Scholars Award. So that award is based on your GPA. If you're a transfer student, and I know there's transfer students online here, you would be looked at for the Transfer Scholar Award, which is automatic based on your GPA. And you would also be considered for the International Excel Award. So that one, again, you need to fill out the scholarship application to be considered. Jessica, there was a question. Can transfer students qualify for the Presidential Scholarship?
No, unfortunately, the Presidential Scholarship is for entering first-year students. So this is one of the places that there is a little bit of a benefit to students coming to us directly out of high school.
Okay, but transfer students could get into the honors program. That would be an option.
Correct. Yes, that opportunity is available to transfer students to come into the honors program. And actually, if students come to us with an AA or AS degree from a community college, for example, We would have another opportunity that I didn't focus on today for a 9-credit-hour honors designation that is specific for transfer students. So if there's anyone who would be in that position coming to UNI already with an AA or AS degree in hand, I'd be happy to talk with them a little bit more.
All right, great. So that provides a little clarity there. Some other scholarships, there's a UNI business scholarship. So if you're a business student, again, you have to fill out the UNI scholarship application and submit it by February 1st. And plus 300 more scholarships that are possible for you to qualify. As Sherry mentioned, this UNI scholarship application is something that incoming students fill out, but even as you're a current student, you fill it out each year because there are different scholarships that become available to you once you're a current student. So there are possibilities here for funding. We also encourage you to look externally. Look, talk to your counselor at your high school, talk to Education USA, go online, don't pay for any sort of scholarship website, but go online and see what else is out there, because there are other possibilities for you to get some sort of support. And we really want to help you make university affordable for you. So I am going to wrap up by talking about today's takeaways. First of all, priority scholarship deadline is February 1st. So make sure your admission file is complete, that you submitted everything. You met Liz at the beginning of our session here. She's the person who's working with all of your undergraduate applications. So if you do not know what you still need to do to fill out the, to complete your admission file, get in touch with us and we'll let you know. But you need to be admitted and have all your documents in, and then you need to submit the scholarship application that Tim went through by February 1st. So now you have a plan and you have like 3 weeks to get it done. Just reminding you that UNI offers partial aid to help make your education more affordable, but you do need to have other means in order to pay for all of your expenses. So we do not have what people call a full ride or a full scholarship for students. So you do need to have other plans. UNI has other opportunities for you. We talked today about the honors program, which might be a great fit for you. Also, we talked about becoming a resident assistant or other opportunities that we have for you to get involved in campus and jobs. And then I'm just going to encourage you to ask questions either today, where we've opened it up for any questions, but also moving forward, you can message us in the international.admissions email, or we are on WeChat. I know we are on WhatsApp. Currently, our WhatsApp is down. So if you try to message us, just know that we're working to get that back up. And so Samuel has asked for a link for the scholarship programs. And so I think Elizabeth can make sure that she puts that in the chat, that she puts in a link for how to connect with all of our scholarships. So I'll have Liz do that. And then I will move on to just give you, if you want to record our WhatsApp contact, you can go ahead and do that. And our international.admissions email. These are the best 2 ways to get in touch with us. We're also happy to set up a Zoom meeting with you personally, so we can talk through some things. So if you want to do that, we'll talk about how to make those arrangements, and we'll set up a one-on-one staff meeting. So I think that wraps it up. Does anyone else have anything that they want to share, or any other questions from anyone? Great. So the scholarship link is in the chat. You can find it through our international admissions website, and then there's a link to scholarships. So if you can't see the chat and you want to get to that, or just email us and we'll send it to you. So thank you again. Thank you to Tim and Jessica and Sherry for talking today. Thank you for Liz for helping us out today. And thank you all for coming and sharing some of your time and learning more about scholarship opportunities at UNI. So thank you very much.